What's up, movie fans? It's Ryan, and let's talk about Pacific Rim. And by let's talk about, I mean I talk and you listen quietly. No, so yeah, once again, this is going to be spoiler free. Not that you can really spoil much about this movie. I mean, you don't go to see a movie that features giant robots fighting giant monsters for the story, now do you? Um, so yeah, I mean that's what this movie is, and don't get me wrong, this was one of my favorite movies of the summer. It is completely awesome. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, the guy who directed Pan's Labyrinth, the Hellboy movies. He's done some great work, and his strength is really creating interesting-looking creatures and monsters. And so he was pretty perfect for this movie. And so it might give, fans of The Lord of the Rings some solace to know that he was working on this instead of The Hobbit. And so, on one hand, I'm kind of glad he did, because this movie was very, very good. So, set in the future, the not-too-distant future, whatever. It's a different world. And the world is being attacked by these giant monsters. They're called the kaiju, which is, I believe, Japanese for monster or something like that. But yeah, they keep coming out of the ocean, and so humanity decides to build giant robots that are piloted by humans, and they do battle with these monsters, and it is just it's awesome. They don't skimp on the fight scenes. There's lots of good fight scenes between the robots and the monsters. It's not just like one big one at the end. There's a bunch. And that's good. And, basically this is your childhood fantasy. When you were a kid and you had an Optimus Prime action figure in one hand and Godzilla or a T-Rex or whatever in the other hand, and you had them fight, this movie is fulfilling that fantasy you had as a kid when you were fighting your toys. And, I think Guillermo del Toro said as much in his interviews, that this was very pleasing to his 10-year-old, self. And so, yeah, in terms of the acting, like I said, this is not the kind of movie you go to see for great acting, great story, but the acting is passable, it's entertaining. Idris Elba, who plays kind of the general, I don't know if he's a general, but he's kind of the commander of the pilots driving the robots, does a great job, and he's been doing a great job lately in pretty much everything he's been in. He was pretty much the high point in Prometheus, a movie that really, really needed some help in the acting department, and he was really the standout in that movie, I thought. And it's kind of the same case here, although not so much, because there are other entertaining performances, one of which is Charlie Day, who plays one of the scientists who studies the kaiju, the monsters, and this is Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's playing Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as a scientist. Basically, he calls people dude. He's like super psyched about giant monsters. It's very entertaining. He does a great job, although you would never believe in a million years that he's actually a scientist. Let's see, who else is in it? I mean, the guy who plays the protagonist, Charlie Hunnam, I haven't seen him in much of anything, or if I have, I don't really remember him. But he does a good job as kind of the everyman main character you can kind of get behind. He's not great, but he's not bad, that kind of thing. He's just kind of there, and not in a bad way. In a movie like this, you kind of want to imagine you could be the main character, and he's that kind of, the blank slate you could kind of write yourself onto. And I'm sorry if that's very insulting to him, but that's kind of how I feel about his performance. And then, of course, the irreplaceable Ron Perlman is in this movie, having a great time as this sort of, like, CEO, evil, corporate guy who's making money off these giant monster attacks. And he does a great job and is very entertaining, as he always is. I love Ron Perlman in pretty much every movie I see him in. He's great, and this is no exception. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about Pacific Rim. I mean, if I had to sum it up in one word, a giant robot grabs a freaking tanker from the ocean and uses it as a club to beat up a monster. If that doesn't make you want to see this movie, I don't know what will. It's awesome. It was a ton of fun, and you will enjoy it. So go see it if you haven't already. It might be too late, so you might have to wait till it comes out on Blu-ray, but it is definitely worth your money. See it, enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie if you saw it, or if you're planning to see it. And I hope you liked the review. So I will see you on the next one. Later, everybody.
Today, at the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, we have chosen to believe in each other.